fourth and final event in this year's Vision 1 Million event series. My name is Ian McLean and I'm President and CEO of the Greater Kitchener-Waterloo Chamber of Commerce. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge that we work and live in the traditional territory of the Neutral, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee peoples, as we seek a renewed relationship based on a foundation of mutual understanding and respect. As participants in today's event, we're coming together as one. We believe everyone is free to be their true self and receive the same respect and opportunity, regardless of same respect and opportunity. We hope you'll join us in fostering a positive environment here today to ensure a safe and welcoming space for all. As we gather in June, we want to take a moment to recognize that it's National Indigenous History Month. This is a dedicated time to honor the history and diversity of Indigenous peoples as we reflect on our shared path toward truth and reconciliation. We encourage you to access resources at Anishinaabe Outreach to learn more about how we can all participate in meaningful reconciliation. And June is also Pride Month. This month is a time to celebrate our vibrant Pride community. The Greater KW Chamber is proud to be a sponsor of Spectrum, Waterloo Region's Rainbow Community Space. Our commitment to supporting their vital work extends all year round, not just during the month of June. We encourage you to visit their website for upcoming events and to donate to their organization so they can continue to offer their programs and services for our local community. And today's event, as all Chamber events, wouldn't be possible without the generous support of our partners and sponsors. So thank you to our title sponsor, Conestoga College Institute of Technology and Advanced Learning. Our gold sponsor, Employ Next, powered by Serco Canada. Silver sponsor, Gore Mutual. Our bronze sponsors, EY, TD, and WSP Canada. Our community partners, Cornerstone Association of Realtors, Explore Waterloo Region, the Futures Cities Institute, founded by Kaivan, Immigration Partnership of Waterloo Region, North Guide, Schlegel Urban Developments, and Waterloo EDC. Our host venue today is the lovely Grey Silo Golf Course. Our production sponsor are friends at Good Cohen Productions, and our photography partner today, Kinsella Marketing. Please join me in thanking these incredible partners and sponsors. I'd also like to recognize some local elected officials and community leaders who are in attendance with us here today. Regional Chair Karen Redmond is here. There she is. Regional Councillors Jim Erb from Waterloo, Joe Gowing, I believe it's Kitchener, if I'm not mistaken. Mayor Joe Gowing is here. Joe Nowak is here. Mayor Sandy Shantz from Woolwich is here as well. Thank you, Sandy. Joe Nowak is here, Regional Councillor from Kitchener. Kitchener Councillor Dave Schneider. Waterloo Councillor Diane Freeman. Where's Diane? There's Diane. And the CEO of the City of Waterloo, Tim Anderson. And our newest recruit to Waterloo Region, or we brought him back, new CEO for the Region of Waterloo, Darshpreet Badi. Thank you for joining us all today. And from our Greater KW Chamber Board of Directors, Ruben Domingos. From Zaire Developments, Linda Lee is here. Where's Linda? She's here somewhere. And Stephanie Soulis is at the back. Thank you for joining us. We brought him out of retirement, a previous chair of the Board of Directors of the Greater KW Chamber and partner at PwC, Scott Gilfillan, join us today. Thanks for being with us today, one and all. Whether you are joining us here in person or watching the live stream on LinkedIn, you can learn more about our speakers and sponsors of today's events by accessing today's digital event program. You can scan the QR code to access that at any time. I'd now like to welcome my good friend Norma MacDonald Ewing, Interim President of Conestoga College, to provide some brief remarks on behalf of our partner and title sponsor. Welcome.
Well, good morning. And there's a little bit of a height difference. I'll just move the mic. Thanks, Ian. Good morning, everyone. As Ian has shared, I'm Norma MacDonald Ewing, and I'm the interim president at Conestoga College, and very proud to be in that role. It's a privilege to join you today and to represent Conestoga as the title sponsor of Part 4 of Vision 1 Million series. Hard to believe it's June and we're at Part 4. As we look ahead to 2050 and a Waterloo region of 1 million people, the question before all of us is a very straightforward question, but a profound one. Are we ready? Today's focus on talent and infrastructure gets to the very heart of that question. Our region's prosperity will depend on the choices we collectively make today to attract and retain world-class talent and build resilient, connected infrastructure that supports livable, inclusive communities for generations to come. And thank you for your reference to what inclusion really looks like in the community this morning. At Conestoga, we understand this well. We're deeply committed to preparing the next generation of skilled tradespeople, technologists, healthcare workers, entrepreneurs, and leaders who will power local industry, advance innovation, and strengthen our communities. And we know that talent doesn't happen by accident. And we appreciate the support of everyone in this room because you too know that talent doesn't happen by accident. It requires intentional investment, strong partnership across education, business, and government, and a shared vision that prioritizes opportunities for everyone. Vision 1 Million is that shared vision. That's why gatherings like this truly matter. Bringing together leaders from across sectors to share insights, surface practical solutions, and to commit to collaboration is how we convert good intentions into measurable progress. And I know we're all interested in measurable progress. The opportunity to park your car and have a conversation in the parking lot and then have another conversation as you travel from the parking lot into the building, have a conversation as you pick up your name tag, have a conversation as you get your coffee or your breakfast, informal conversations between the days. That's why this morning networking and collective conversation make everything work for communities. We're especially honored to have the Honorable Mike Harris with us today. His participation underscores the importance of aligning public policy and community action as we plan for growth. On a personal note, I want to share, I have long appreciated Honorable Harris's commitment to public service. And I also appreciate his continued engagement in conversations that connect government, community, and institutions like ours. Thank you. I look forward to the insights we'll gain this morning and the connections we'll make. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your commitment to building a Waterloo region that is truly ready for our very positive future. Let's get started.
Well, today's conversation is about planning for what's next. And that future depends on our partners like in our post-secondary institutions like the universities and Conestoga College. The growth that Waterloo Region is projected to reach requires smart, forward-thinking decisions. And so this is the fourth conversation in our annual Vision 1 Million series. And this morning we'll focus on our conversation on two critical pillars of our growth strategy: infrastructure and talent. I want to thank our partners at Best Waterloo, Communitech, Explore Waterloo, and Michelle joins us today, Waterloo EDC, and the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce that make up Best Waterloo. And we're driving a conversation of saying it's not just about business, it's about the entire community moving forward together. As the region continues to grow, We need the infrastructure to support new residents, business communities, but also the communities that exist right now. And that means planning for housing, transportation, effective land use, services that enable an economy and a high quality of life. With this in mind, we'll begin this conversation with a fireside chat with the Honourable Mike Harris, who will share both a local perspective as a Waterloo Region representative and a broader provincial lens on infrastructure, policy, and resource considerations shaping Ontario's long-term growth and development. Mike Harris was first elected in the Ontario Legislature in 2018 as MPP for Kitchener-Conestoga and re-elected in 22 and 25. He's currently Ontario's Minister of Natural Resources, where he oversees the sustainable management and conservation of the province's forests, fisheries, crown lands, and natural heritage. He's also responsible for guiding the stewardship of natural resources, promoting outdoor recreational opportunities, and protecting communities from natural hazards. His role also involves balancing economic development with environmental protection. His appointment to the Ministry of Natural Resources follows in the footsteps of his father, former Premier Mike Harris, who held the same position in 1985. Prior to his current role, he was appointed Ontario Minister of Red Production, where he to streamline regulations, modernizing government services, and reducing administrative burdens for both individuals and businesses. So that join me in welcoming the Honourable Mike Harris to the stage.
I'm gonna have to get you everywhere every morning with me to pump me up like that. It sounds good.
Well, I've known you, Mike, since 1999 when he was young, and I was
Younger?
Well, no, I was not gray, and I wasn't as rotund as I was. I'll just leave it there. This is, and we've talked many times about the growth in not only the province and the things that need to do province-wide, but certainly about what we're doing here in Waterloo Region. Our Vision 1 Million scorecard, which you're well aware, we have come out every 6 months, is to hold ourselves accountable as a community, but that means everybody, business, elected officials at all levels, so that we know we're doing the right things in order to be a successful community of a million people. So let's start. As MPP for Kitchener-Conestoga, you've got a front seat to Waterloo Region evolution. Certainly since 2018 has been huge change. As we move towards a million people, are certainly growing fast. What excites you about the future, and where do you see the greatest challenges emerge?
Yeah. Firstly, thank you all for being here. I know you've all got 1,000. Clean up on aisle 2, but 1,000 other places you could be this morning, and we've got a great room here today. So thank you all for coming. I know that this has been a popular series that folks have been very interested in as we're moving forward over the next decade towards that million mark. I think when we look at the region, I'll tell you a little bit about sort of just a quick little bit of my history and how we ended up here. So we had some family here back about 15 years ago when the wife and I and kids moved here. And we kind of viewed Waterloo Region as the sort of big city with the small town feel. And that's what really drew us to Waterloo Region. Outside of the obviously all of the amenities and great park space, green space, to be able to have a world-renowned golf course like Grey Silo here, where we are today, was an incredible asset. We actually lived down the road, so after work I used to pop up here and play 9 holes every once in a while. But it was really what drew us here. And I think as we look over the last couple of decades to kind of where we're now, Ian, you've seen true leadership here in the region. You've seen everyone working together for the betterment of the people here, and you've really seen that vision that's been put in place actually come to fruition. Obviously, we're facing some challenges right now, which we'll get into, I'm sure, a little bit later on with some of our water capacity. But if we put that aside for today, or at least for the time being, I think we're well poised, very well poised to meet that mark. And I think that we're really pushing forward to get the things done that need to be done.
So Waterloo, as we look still kind of at the provincial level, Waterloo Region at this end of the Toronto-Waterloo corridor is the engine of economic growth. There's lots. The regions are all important. I know. As a politician, you're going to say that, but the economic
Not necessarily.
but the economic engine of this province is the 401 corridor from Toronto to Waterloo. And as we think about Ontario's broader economic growth strategy, how does the Waterloo region play into that broader success for the province, which creates economic wealth for everyone in the province?
Well, it's a major part. I think when we look at the numbers, Waterloo Region is often sort of 7 to 10% ahead of the majority of the province from a GDP perspective. So something's working here. Something is going right. And when we have ministerial colleagues, parliamentary assistant colleagues, MPP colleagues that are here in the region, or when we're having meetings, let's say AMO, for example, the Municipal Association. Hi, Karen. Good morning. When we have those meetings, and Karen can tell you this story. When we sit down with my Ontario government colleagues, they come out of the room and they say, Mike, we have never, ever seen such a cohesive group. Everyone is singing from the same song sheet. Everybody's looking to try and drive that growth, development, economic potential together. It's necessarily one part of the region pitting itself off against another. That's noted by government. It's really noted. We've got a lot of great community partners in the room here as well. When we have those meetings and we look at ways that we can share services, when we look at ways that we can grow our social services sector, the collaborative spirit that we see here in Waterloo Region, we don't see that other places. So when we have those meetings, when we have those conversations, when we have those little sidebar chats, often people will come to me and they'll say, hey, Mike, I'm having this problem in, let's just say, Durham. Not to pick on Durham, but we'll pick on them for a second. And, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing to solve this issue? So Waterloo Region really firmly is on the map from that perspective. Certainly with the government of Ontario, there's a lot of really great things going on here that I think we want to try and emulate across the province.
Now, as the Vision 1 Million scorecard that we've developed is across a number of platforms, healthcare, structure, housing, among others, and sort of the readiness for as a community. When we look at that, what we're starting to see is we are making progress on some. There's a lot of yellow, so we're kind of in the middle. There's not. If you look at red, yellow, green, there's a lot of yellow, whether it's on healthcare or on infrastructure, certainly housing, and the market doesn't help. The economy doesn't help. But when you see that scorecard sort of indicating to all of us, business, community groups, neighborhoods, government, provincially, federally, and municipally, where can the province have the greatest impact in helping communities like that close the gap? So, I mean, there's infrastructure, but how else can the province play a role?
For sure, and I think we've kind of reached that point of critical mass, right? And I think if you look at sort of consecutive scorecards before this, there was maybe a lot more green, right? Because we've been able to achieve a lot of those milestones, and now we've kind of gotten to this point where it's like, all right, if we want to make this a reality, we've really got to put our nose to the grindstone. We've really got to look forward. We really need to have a concerted effort. We really need to build those partnerships because, the last mile is the toughest, right? And that's kind of where we're at now. So from a provincial perspective, if we're talking about infrastructure generally will be where the province is really going to be able to help. We have a $220 billion infrastructure program out there right now. Roads, bridges, highways, water infrastructure, working with municipalities to help unlock housing potential. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. Obviously right now, the water capacity issue is really holding back some of the development that we have, but I know everybody, again, very collectively is working towards trying to come to the best possible solutions for that. Reinvesting in infrastructure here, it has to be an all-of-government approach. It's got to be municipalities, it's got to be the province, and it's got to be the federal government as well. So we don't necessarily just want to put it on one person or one entity. Everybody's got to row that boat together. So I know that we have spent several $1 billion over the last, I guess it's almost 9 years now, in infrastructure here in the region. That spending continues. Obviously, as we look to try and solve the water capacity issue, there is going to be some additional spending that will go along with that as well. But again, it all plays in. It's all part and parcel to that real growth development. Obviously, ION, I know, is probably something, again, we're going to want to talk about at some point over the next little bit here, so I won't go too far into that too. But the province has been a great partner in that as we've been moving forward, and we've seen the growth, the intensification, the development that's come along with that. So
Don't fret now. We'll get to water, and we'll get to
Good,
housing, and we'll
good,
get to
good,
LRT,
good.
and we'll get to a hospital too.
if you and I
So-
get sidetracked and
No,
start
no,
yakking,
yeah.
we're getting through 5
There you
questions,
go.
and that's about it. So
Okay, so let's finish off, because I do want to hear about your ministry, and well, Northern Affairs and Natural Resources. There's a good fit. That's where you're from originally, but there is lots of your ministry touches this part of the world as well. So as Minister of Natural Resources, how do you, there is the balance, talked about that in the introduction, of competing demands of housing, employment lands, agricultural lands, environmental stewardship, and water resources. They're all connected to your portfolio. How do you kind of balance those priorities against the local and provincial growth targets?
yeah, it's an interesting conversation, right? A lot of people think, oh, the Ministry of Natural Resources, it's a very northern ministry. It's not. We issue 20% of the government's total permits, Ian. 20%. So that's staggering to think from our small, on the grand scale of things, ministry. We are in charge of a lot of early works, permitting all across the province, especially around development, aggregates, oil and gas. We actually have a thriving oil and gas sector here in Ontario, if you can believe it or not, which is most people don't realize. So there's a lot that comes into play for our ministry, specifically aggregates in this area in particular. Obviously, again, with that $220 billion infrastructure spend, we want to see aggregates close to market, good aggregate quality aggregate being used, but still balancing out the dynamics of making sure that we keep the natural landscape in place, that we have good operators operating those pits, and that they're adhering to their site plans and rehabilitation plans. So there's a lot that happens, especially around home building as well, obviously, is a big part. Endangered species at risk. We work in concert with the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks around wetlands, provincially significant wetlands, different things like that, where you would come to us very early on in the process to say, hey, we want a plan of subdivision here, or we have this parcel of land that we want to develop, and we'll work with you to be able to try and achieve the goals, not only of course, your goals, but municipal goals and those provincial goals as well. So a lot going on. We're always constantly liaising with other ministries. I think that's really the biggest thing. As a former red tape reduction minister, as you had said earlier, trying that lens to things we do with the Ministry of Natural Resources and broader government as well. So always looking for good creative ways to reduce red tape, streamline processes, make it easier to do business, not only municipally but provincial, but also from the private sector here in Ontario as well for your members. And we're always looking for creative ideas. So please. There is a portal that you can actually log into online and submit your red tape reduction ideas. So if you're ever interested, you've had a couple pops late on a Friday night and you've got nothing to do and you can't sleep, come on, get on there. Hey man, you should see some of the stuff that rolls into that. It's pretty interesting.
I'm sure it's interesting at midnight on a Friday.
Exactly.
Let's move on to infrastructure, because I was going to talk about housing, but a lot of these things are connected to this next bucket. I mean, we move towards 1 million people, and I think the scorecard indicates the following. We need an infrastructure across the board, and you've mentioned some of them, but some of the ones that are what I would say are the barriers or are the precursors to successful growth. LRT Phase 2. We can't build the housing we need unless we've got the corridor. The LRT corridor finished to South Cambridge. We know that the new hospital is table stakes. We haven't had one in 65 years. We've selected the site. The Premier and you were there. We're kind of working through the steps, and we're hopeful for an announcement in the coming months to kind of continue the momentum. We got land assembly to make sure that we have that next core anchor like Toyota or OpenText, like those big big anchor that's going to generate the supply chain jobs of the future, because we're talking another 300,000 people, roughly speaking, 100,000 jobs that don't exist right now. So the infrastructure of hospital, LRT, the talent that's required, so the universities and college are all critical, and they're not things that we can do sequentially. These all have to be done at the same time, and to your point, you've got the same types of needs right across the province. So talk a little bit about the things that you know are important and that we have to pay attention to. Otherwise, and I think we've said this at many of these sessions before, and you and I have talked about this. We're going to be 1 million people whether we're ready or not. The only question is whether we're going to have people living in appropriate housing. Are we going to have jobs? And I think that's the urgency for us, is to say, as a community, not just business, but as a community, are we doing these things?
Sure.
At
So let's unpack it a little bit, and I think a good place to start is transit. We made some considerable strides. One of the first things I remember when we had our first meeting in 2018 was the GO train.
All day, two-way go.
All day, two-way go. And to the point where whenever Minister Bethlen Falvey would be here, as finance minister, he would always come up on the stage and he would immediately make the joke of, yes, Ian, we are working towards two-way all day go. And truly, we've really made some incredible strides on that. We've got several peak trains now. We've got a lot of express trains. We've got that time down under 2 hours, which was a crucial piece, because that actually makes it worthwhile to take the train. We've now got weekend trains, which is amazing, to be able to get in the city to visit family, friends, go to a Jays game, Leafs game. I mean, going to a Leafs game is not a lot of fun lately, but the Jays, it's all right. But World Cup. So there's a lot of really great things that are happening there, and that continue to happen. We're working with CN to purchase a large swath of track between here and Georgetown, working to double track it so you can have trains passing at the same time. Electrification, obviously getting ready for the future. When we look at GRT, just an announcement, I believe last week, Karen, Joe, I'm looking at you guys on the new fleet of buses, I believe, that are going out to tender. So some really good news there. Obviously, we're still continuing to work towards the transit hub downtown. The province and the region of Waterloo have now signed on as interveners in an appeal process to be able to remove folks from the encampment that we have downtown. That is truly a very large hindrance to actually developing a lot of the transit that we're looking to see here in the region. So very, I guess you could say, looking forward to see how that's all going to plan out. It's going to be very important as we develop that downtown core over the next little while. Hospital. I know that's a big one for you. We've talked about that a lot. The hospital is moving along. It is on track. It is on target. We are sequentially trying to stage about 40 different new hospital builds across the province, which, as you can imagine, is quite considerable. There's really only about 3 or 4 companies that can actually build these hospitals and lead the contracting process. So we have them staged and phased in sequential order so that we're able to make sure that we're able to dedicate all the resources from a trades perspective, but of course a finance perspective as well. Our hospital's probably going to cost in the neighborhood of $5 to $10 billion, I would imagine, by the time it's all said and done. But we're moving along with our planning grants. Things are working. Would love to thank Ron. I don't know if he's here today. I haven't seen him. But for his amazing work, he's announced his retirement just last week, and he's been an incredible partner to work with, and the entire team at Wren and the folks before that with St. Mary's and the General Hospital. So there's a lot of good things happening. We're really pushing forward provincial partnerships. Sure.
Well, and of course, always hopeful that you want to get announced. It wasn't a budget, but do you anticipate there's something mid-year? Because I think there's anxiety about having to wait to a next budget.
I would say there shouldn't be any anxiety. We are moving forward with the hospital here in Waterloo Region. Is it going to be as quick and as fast as everybody would like to see? Maybe not. But in the grand scheme of things, the way this was staged originally and originally thought out and planned, we are on track, we are on target. The money has flowed. Stage 1.2, we're still there looking for that ability to get to stage 1.3. But it's not just about us announcing that. There's a lot of work that has to be done by the hospital and the community as well to make sure that we're ready to move to that next stage. And I think we're getting very close.
Okay,
Is that a political enough answer for you?
It's political enough. Don't worry. We're going to keep asking until there's a big announcement. So we've got a history.
Trust me,
here.
I want to be there with the check.
Oh, no, I know. The big check.
Dave Schneider likes his checks, by the way.
Let's go to water. I mean, water is, and in our energy and environment forum, we say that there's two things that are foundational. You cannot do anything without energy, and you cannot do anything without water. Period. Full stop. The water, and we're not the only ones that are struggling with across the province, but uniquely here we've got some challenges. But it does, it's a real challenge for investment, for new growth. So our friends from Water to Economic Development looking to say foreign direct investment gets very tough when the I'll say the word because it's what others are saying to us from outside. We're perceived not open for business. But even for existing businesses, my members that want to grow and we're trying to work our way through it, but the notion that it's complicated and you may not be able to grow your business here, those are big issues when we talk about the jobs of the future, the new investment that needs to be here for the 100,000 jobs that don't exist, for housing, so jobs, housing, everything depends on water. And I think one of the things that people want to know is that are we working together between the municipalities and the province? And what's next? Because this is I would say this is a crisis from an economic business perspective because of what it does. The uncertainty is freezing everything. And that's a problem for us, not only today, but downstream. So how are we going to work our way through that? And the notion of this whole series is partnerships. It's not done alone by the region or the province or business. It takes all of us. But how are we going to work our way from your perspective through this issue?
Well, what I can tell you, if we want to talk about partnership, and we can kind of start off the conversation there, incredible partnership, province, region, or municipalities have been working together on this since day one. I think Karen and I have connected at the hip on it, some may say, have been working diligently to try and come up with creative solutions, not only from the infrastructure planning perspective, but also from the funding perspective as well. So very recently we appointed a provincial facilitator to make sure that the best foot is being put forward and that the region is doing everything it can with help from the province to be able to meet those goals and targets, to be able to look at what those critical infrastructure pieces are and look like, how we can start to put a plan together as to if we reach X amount of additional capacity put into place, what does that mean? What can we green light? What priority projects are out there? Looking again, this is a bit of a bone of contention with me. The buffer that we do have that's been put in place, certainly something that the facilitator is going to look at as well. But I know that that regional staff, regional council, and of course the area municipalities, the province, everybody's working together. The business community has put some really great thought into as well, how they envision things moving forward. I think I've spoken to about every single person that has skin in the game in some way, shape, or form with this over the last 6 months. And I think we've gotten to a point now where we're in a really good place to move things forward. So, whether we're open for business, truly, I think we are. We've got to nail down some of this short-term planning, but as we move forward, I think we're going to be in a great place, probably even better.
And I guess part of what I talked to Greg DeRocher at the Cambridge Chamber is that we cover businesses right across the spectrum, small business, every type of business sector. So at first there was this notion that it was just the development community and those that are trying to grow. This impacts everyone across the way. So there's an urgency to it that we do need to make the short-term decisions to change the channel of not being open for business. And that's from our perspective. So let's talk about housing. I mean, one of the things, so it's impacted by water. We've also had downturn in the economy, inflation.
So demand has been depressed for housing, but the housing shortage across the province hasn't gone away. There's a sort of a provincial focus on that from the premier right through cabinet. It remains a pressing issue for every community, certainly here. We're not starting enough of those, so there are some issues around creating the supply. But on the demand side, we've seen some uptick because of some of the programs.
Absolutely.
And we talk about that and whether those will be in place long enough to meet when the supply comes online.
So obviously, when we look sort of pan-provincially, we've got a lot of great programming in place that really is truly working right now. Some of it is a little more challenging just given the current circumstances in Waterloo Region. But one of the things I'm trying to fight for is looking at ways that we can at least extend that program locally here to make sure that we're doing what we can for the residents of Waterloo Region. So a couple great initiatives. Number one, working with the federal government to be able to remove HST on new housing builds. We've seen more new housing starts in the last couple of months than we have in the last couple of years, which is incredible. So not only are we helping to solve some of those housing challenges, affordability challenges, but this is also keeping tradespeople working as well, and keeping the folks that are in those ancillary businesses that are part of that home building sort of structure and industry working in some challenging times. So also working with area municipalities in the region, of course, locally here, on looking at ways to reduce development charges. I would say that has probably been the number one thing when I've met from home builders, developers, community builders here in the region and across the province. Development charges have been a massive hindrance, whether that be on a single family home or right up to some of that more densified infill. So the region's been great, proactive. I know a lot of our area municipalities as well on removing development charges for nonprofits, purpose-built rentals, a lot of great stuff there. We've actually seen more rental starts in the province over the last couple of years than the last 3 decades, which is also incredible. So I think there's a lot of good stuff coming. Looking at ways that we can try and extend some of those programs here in the region is going to be critical, I feel, for us while we get this sorted out. But again, I think that if we're able to come to a consensus on the capacity piece in the very near future, then we will be able to take advantage of some of those programs. Because you've got to remember, just because you green light a development today doesn't mean that the toilets flush and the taps turn on tomorrow. So you're anywhere from 16 to 18 months minimum, right? Minimum. So especially on a bigger build, you're 24 months or more. So I think there's still an opportunity to take part in a lot of the programming that we have going on here in the region, while we try and move forward and navigate a difficult issue.
I'm getting the flapping of the arms from my staff at the back, which means that we got 3 minutes, which really means 10. So
questions.
We only got 2 more.
7.
We only
That's
got
not
2 more,
bad.
but 2 more. But I want to talk to friends of Communitech who are here. AI is on the minds of every business because either we don't understand it, don't know how it's going to impact us, or we see opportunity for how it could support our business. And I know Matthew and Sheldon at Communitech are putting together a pilot on AI using co-ops and trying to figure out how we have the tools for business here in Waterloo Region to understand AI, know how it can help their business. If we can do it right here as a collaboration between the university, so academia, business, the community and founders, we can do it right here. It's something that is actually transportable across the province. So as we think about that collaboration, and you talked about regional collaboration between the municipalities and levels of government, in particular, when we think about competitiveness, technology, innovation, things like AI are one of our calling cards. When the province looks, they see the opportunity of supporting what we're doing here because it's transferable across the province?
Yeah, 100%. We've had some really great conversations with Communitech, with University of Waterloo as well in particular, around AI. One of the big challenges we have is that it sucks so much energy out of the system. We need in the next 20 years, we need 75% more energy than we currently produce. So again, we've embarked on a very large-scale nuclear project across the province, with Darlington, Pickering, Bruce Nuclear, to be able to look at ways that we can keep that base load as high and sustainable as possible. Transmission lines obviously are a really big piece of what's going on as well, because you need to be able to get that energy from the generation site into communities. So I think there's a lot of potential. We're really driving between Minister Crawford, Minister Fedeli, and Minister Bethlen Falvey right now, really driving a sort of we'll call it a renewed AI strategy, and what it will look like here in the province. I think we've been a little bit slow. I think this is one of the things that UW had talked about for years, quite frankly. Canada as a whole and Ontario has been very slow to adopt AI. Very slow. Again, the full understanding and knowledge and depth I don't think is there. So to your sort of initial point, yes, it's extremely important to work with industry partners to be able to develop, adapt, and look at ways that we can create novel ways to move forward, to be able to leverage what truly is going to be the future. So I think we've got, I know Tony Lamantia is not here, is he? Because he'll kill me if I say this, but
Lucinda,
oh, I see the
Lucinda and
ladies.
some of the gang are there.
Let's just say I think there is some potential in the future, in the not too distant future. I'm just looking to see how much I can say here, that there is some evaluation of data centers and different things like that here in the region. So just on this, one of the critical things that we're really looking for from a provincial perspective is really trying to reshore or onshore a lot of our, we'll say, sensitive data, intellectual property. We've seen obviously what can happen south of the border, and we worry sometimes about, we'll say, those bigger US conglomerates that are headquartered at the US or in the US where there can be some national security issues around it. So looking at ways that we can build out infrastructure here, work with amazing community partners to do it, and really just kind of drive it forward.
The energy plan you put together, we're kind of almost uniquely positioned to have that data sovereignty no matter how much energy it takes, because it will drive the economy. Okay, I'm going to wrap the last two questions into one and give you lots of time to answer before they start flapping their arms again. If Waterloo Region is going to reach 1 million people, you know, the balance, and we talked about this all through, preserving quality of life, but also being prepared for growth and the economic, activity that's required to sustain it. Think about over the next 5 years, and what are the signals, the data, those sorts of things the province is looking at? You've got competing priorities all across the province. And are we doing the right things here? Whether it's local municipalities, whether it's the business community, whether it's, immigration partnership and saying talent's coming from newcomers to this community. What are the things that we should be doing to be appropriately advocating and fighting for what this region needs to be a leader?
Well, I think we're already doing a lot of it, and I think that's what's important, is just keeping up the momentum that's already been built. Again, when you look around this room, you've got cross sections from every nook and cranny of the region, whether it be healthcare, post-secondary. We've got a lot of municipal leaders here, development, home builders, business leaders. So thought leaders, like there's just incredible collective of folks that we have in Waterloo Region. And when everybody's working together, you were talking about Best Waterloo, you're talking about the Chamber. A lot of those advocacy groups, Connect the Corridor was a huge piece of that as well. So thank you to Julie for a lot of the work that you did on that. Just keeping that up, and I know that our municipal leaders here in the room as well, when they come to Queen's Park or when Queen's Park comes here to the region, it's that same collective spirit that really goes a long way, because it is unusual. We don't see it in other parts. So when we are competing with other regions, other entities, other municipalities for funding, if there's a way for us to set ourselves apart and look like we're being very proactive, we kudos to our rural townships who have done a lot of work on shared services and have leveraged provincial funding to be able to learn how they can better work together to look at ways to not only be obviously cost effective, but ways that they can better serve their residents. Those are the types of things that we're looking for. So it's not just always coming with your hand out and saying, oh, please help us, province. Coming with a plan, showing up, being there, having the conversations, which can sometimes be difficult conversations. But at the end of the day, we're always better for it. So truly, if that's one thing I can leave everybody with today, that's it.
Well, we're only 7 minutes late, and that's the old go train schedule. Now they're always on time. So I'm
Trains
going
are
to have to
running
get
on
caught
time
up
now.
when they're smiling at the back. My staff, I'm never on time. Thank you so much, Michael, Minister Harris. We appreciate you taking time to be with us today. Very insightful, and appreciate you commenting on the things that the region needs, and appreciate your leadership and service to the community.
Thank you, Ian. Much appreciated.
Appreciate it. You're going to deep off, aren't you?
Well, thank you again, Michael. I know you're going to have to deke off shortly to get to your next set of meetings, but we do appreciate you taking time to be with us today. To set the context for our next discussion, Waterloo Region's growth ambitions depend on more than infrastructure alone. They depend on people. And as our population grows towards 1 million residents, employers across sectors will need access to the skilled workforce required to support that growth. Healthcare providers, manufacturing, technology companies, community organizations, and businesses of every size are already facing challenges related to recruitment, retention, workforce readiness, and skills development. The challenge is not simply attracting talent, it is creating the conditions for people to build meaningful careers, develop new skills, and feel a sense of belonging, and choose to stay in Waterloo Region. It also means ensuring newcomers and internationally trained professionals can fully contribute their skills and expertise and experiences to our economy and communities. This next discussion will focus on what it will take to build the talent ecosystem that is needed for the next chapter of growth in Waterloo Region. So I'd like to introduce our panel. Our first panelist is Tamim Hamidi, the Manager of Community Outreach at Serco Canada. In this role, Tamim leads the strategic community engagement and partnership development initiatives across Waterloo Region and the Barrie area. With more than 13 years of experience in employment services and workforce development, Tamim has built a strong reputation for connecting employers, job seekers, community organizations, and government partners to create meaningful employment opportunities and inclusive workforce solutions. So come on up to me wherever you are. You can grab a chair and chair. Our second panelist is Christy Parsons, Vice President of People at Schlegel Villages. In this role, Christy provides strategic leadership to advance the organization's people strategy and strengthen the team member experience. Schlegel Villages has 19 long-term care and retirement communities with over 7,000 team members. Christy is passionate about fostering strong family culture where leaders and team members feel connected, supported, and empowered to grow. She's committed to ensuring the organization attracts, develops, and retains exceptional people to deliver outstanding care and services while supporting sustainable organizational growth. Come on up, Christy. Our third panelist is my friend, Dr. Al Kawash, Regional Director of Cardiac and Critical Care at Waterloo Region Health Network. Al began his healthcare career in the U.S., serving for over 12 years as the Ohio market manager and director of home health services. In that role, he oversaw both hospital-based and outpatient facilities across northern Ohio and Michigan. Since returning to Canada in his current role, he's been able to expand access to vital cardiac services, as well as improving efficiencies throughout the patient journey. So come on up, Al. And moderating this panel is Tara Bedard, Executive Director of the Immigration Partnership of Waterloo Region. I thought you were a CEO, so I was going to give you a battlefield commission, but we'll deal with that later. Tara is an accomplished executive leader, governance professional, and community builder with more than 20 years of international and local experience spanning government, philanthropy, international development, and the not-for-profit sector. In her current role, she leads regional initiatives that advance immigration, community well-being, workforce development, and inclusive economic growth. Tara is widely recognized for building transformative partnerships, influencing public policy, and translating community vision into tangible impact. So please join in welcoming team Christy, Al, and Tara to the stage.
This is working? Okay, great. Thank you, Ian, for the introduction and the opportunity to be here today. This is a discussion that is really near and dear to my heart and the work that I get to do here in Waterloo Region together with my colleagues, some of whom are here today, and hundreds of partners who have been working together over now about 20 years through the Immigration Partnership, and before that, the Waterloo Region Immigrant Employment Network, to connect talent and employers in mutually beneficial opportunities through an immigration lens. We also look at the infrastructure and services that are around the workplace that help people really to thrive in this region. And so this discussion today that is about infrastructure and talent is really in our lane of work. As we look towards the Waterloo region reaching 1 million residents, one thing is clear. Growth isn't just about infrastructure, it is also about people. The diversity of talent that fuels our workplaces, grown here in Canada and from around the world. Every sector is feeling workplace pressures in different ways, and many employers are asking whether we're truly prepared for the pace of change ahead. So I'm really interested to be here today to have this conversation about talent with these leaders, and thank you panelists for being with us this morning. We have quite a few questions on the list, and as we've heard, we're a little bit behind, so let's do this a little bit rapid fire this morning. So my first question is for all of you. To begin the conversation, it would be helpful to understand the unique perspective that each of you brings to talent and workforce discussion. And we've heard a little bit about your background from Ian. To help set the stage, each of you quickly share how your role or organization is helping to shape the talent landscape in Waterloo Region.
Sure, thank you. Before I get started, I just want to thank Ian for his advocacy for our new hospital. We really appreciate that, so let's give him a round of applause. He left the room. A little bit of feedback. Okay, so my role at REN is really focused on redesigning care pathways and supporting our teams. We're working towards our new hospital at the University of Waterloo. That's going to require, building modernized care pathways, deepening our academic relationships with the University of Waterloo, and then creating environments where folks can thrive in our workplaces. Pretty quick, yeah.
So good morning, everyone. So Waterloo Region is a very strong community and a very evolving one. And at CERCO, we are designated by the province as the service system manager to manage all the employment service providers within Waterloo Region. And we work very closely with the employer community and as well as job seeker to bridge the gap. So with employers, we support them through our service provider by supporting them with recruitment needs, pre-screening candidates for them, and ensuring they have a very successful workforce. And then when it comes to the job seekers, we support them. Ultimately, the goal is to get them a full-time or a part-time job. And through the process, we support them with, anything else that they may need, like a resume, cover letter, mock interview. So all that we support them with. So overall, as a service system manager, our goal is to ensure we have a thriving community and a robust workforce within the region.
Good morning, everybody. We are very much at Schlegel Villages, a mission-driven family organization, and we have a really simple belief in terms of, people aren't just looking for jobs, but they're looking to do work that matter and to contribute in meaningful ways. And so part of the way that we're helping to form the talent landscape in the region is we need enough people in the future to take care of our aging communities. And I think you all know, older adults, it's not the first choice for a lot of our younger folks looking for careers. So how do we inspire people to see senior living as a career destination? And I think we can do that where you can come and you can develop meaningful and authentic relationships. You can contribute in meaningful ways, and it's very purpose-driven. So that's part of our mandate as an organization in the community.
Thank you all for that. My next question is for you, Christy, and you maybe started to answer this already, but I'll ask if you want to expand. As competition for talent continues to intensify, employers are rethinking how they stand out and connect with prospective employees. What are you doing differently to attract and welcome talent in a way that builds long-term commitment rather than simply filling vacancies?
Yeah, it's we're trying to figure out how do we get really far upstream to expose people to senior living. And so we've done it in a few ways. One, and Norma's here from the college, is we have a partnership with Conestoga College and other colleges across the province where we have a living classroom model. And so essentially this is a satellite campus that we put right in the village, and team members work alongside, students work alongside experienced team members, the residents with all their wisdom and lived experience, and they gain the practical skills and knowledge to be able to become PSWs or RPNs. I think the stats are about 40% of PSWs will leave after the first year completely the workforce of healthcare because they're not prepared. And so if we can get them right into the villages, and they develop those relationships, they have competence and confidence, we set them up for success. And one other strategy is even going further upstream. For those of you that may have high school level children at home, we partner with the local school boards. It's called SHISM, Specialist. Thank you. And it's great. We bring them in and we get to explore opportunities in senior living. So food and hospitality, culinary, recreation, PSWs, even administrative areas. And they get to spend time with the residents, and we hire these students. So in terms of a pipeline, we're hiring students right from the colleges into PSW, RPN roles, and then students into part-time roles, housekeeping, food services. We just had a housekeeper who went to school to become a PSW. She's now bridging to become an RPN through our living classroom. So it's a great strategy. And the best comment was just last week, a high school student, grade 12. He said, "I didn't know old people were so cool. I could see myself working here." And to me, that's success.
That's amazing. Thank you. Tamim, I'm going to go to you now. Attracting talent is one part of the equation, but keeping people engaged and committed is just as important. In your view, what are the most effective strategies for retaining employees in the long term?
So here I would like to talk about two things. The first one is employee engagement, and the second one is workplace culture. When we look at employee engagement, it's very important that we make sure that our staff are feeling very supported at work. They're feeling very encouraged, and how we do this is through by appreciation and recognizing the work that they do. So always making sure that doing regular check-ins with them and ensuring that people are happy when they're coming to work and leaving work. The other thing is the workplace culture. Oftentimes we hear that to have a success, to avoid a lot of turnover, we want to make sure that the workplace is inclusive, communication is key, and flexibility is becoming increasingly important, which I 100% agree with. However, if there's something I can really pinpoint to, it's the direct relationship a staff has with their supervisor. I was reading a survey, and I think it was from Oxford or Harvard University, where they said that the most satisfaction when it comes to the job is the first one is their direct manager, and the second one is the salary. So your direct supervisor has a lot of impact. There's a saying that goes, people leave managers, not the organization. So ensuring that we have a very good relationship with our staff, and ensuring that our leaders have a people's approach. They understand people from their perspective. People have challenges, people have a lot of difficulties in their personal life. So ensuring that we understand that and we communicate with the team, I think it's very, very important. And overall, I would say let's not treat recruitment as like an HR strategy, but more so an organizational mindset. And we should constantly be asking, is this an environment where people want to work? So having that conversation is very, very important.
Thank you. Christy, I have one more for you before I come to you, Al. Christy, what are employees looking for today, and how has Schlegel Villages created an environment where people feel connected, valued, and want to stay? How important is internal talent development in that effort, and what does it take to create a culture where employees can grow their careers from within?
Yeah, so we spend a lot of time on figuring out how do we build our future by creating it. And what I mean by that is we have a really robust development and growth program. And so our strategic priority is to grow, hire, and 70% of our leadership positions internally. And we're currently at 72% across the organization. When you look at 450 leaders, we're hitting that target. So we start right when a team member joins. We, have career pathway discussions. We have personal development plans. We do succession planning. We have a mentorship program where as soon as you join the organization, you're linked with a mentor to help you fit culturally into the organization, but also those technical skills. And then we've made a really significant investment. Some of you know our founder, Ron Schlegel, in the community. Ron certainly has been a true community builder. And so we developed what we call Ron Schlegel University, or RSU. And really, it is our approach to high quality education and training internally. And so people have education opportunities. They've got upskilling platforms. We set career pathways where they can build their competencies. And then we know that financial barriers are an issue. If you think of that single mom with 3 kids at home, how is she going to bridge to become a nurse? And that's her lifelong aspiration. And so we do things like education reimbursement for all team members, regardless if you're full-time, part-time. We do interest-free loans. We try to support flexibility in work schedules. So maybe instead of working an 8-hour shift, you're going to move to a 12-hour line so that you have more time off to take courses. And then right now we're going through a process. We do scholarships annually. So we're awarding $5,000 to 10 individuals to continue on their career path. So I think, when you look at engagement levels, if people can see themselves in the future, they're more apt to stay and be engaged when you're investing in them. And I think as an organization, you believe in them and their future.
Thank you. Al, I'm going to come to you now. And obviously, one sector where workforce challenges are especially visible is in healthcare. And given its critical role in serving the population now and as it grows. What workforce challenges are you seeing today, and how are they impacting patient care and system capacity?
Yeah, so the workforce challenges we're currently seeing, one is the complexity of acuity that's coming into the hospitals, population growth, and of course, workforce shortages. And how does that impact us directly is increased wait time, occupancy in the hospitals over 100%, and then the strain on the current teams that are there. In our current state, REN is really focused on stability of our current workforce while planning for the future with our redevelopment team, with the new hospital, of course, at the University of Waterloo, really modernizing care, creating thousands of jobs for the community, but also helping us build that workforce for us to be ready for the future.
Amazing, thank you. Tamino, I'm going to come back to you. While workplace culture plays a critical role, employers also have access to a broader ecosystem of support that can strengthen their talent strategies. How can employers in the region better leverage local workforce development organizations and employment service providers to meet their recruitment and workforce planning needs?
So I think it's very, very important that employers are connected to their local employment service provider agencies as well as workforce planning boards. As I mentioned earlier, they not only help with recruitment and supporting your workforce with talent, but also provide great labor market information. What we have found in the past is that employers who are connected to workforce planning boards or employment service providers have a better success versus the ones that are not connected. I have brought 5 employment service providers with me today. They're sitting over there, so feel free to have a chat with them afterwards. And aside from, one thing in the past that when I've worked with employers, one thing I've always said to them was designate one day a month and connect with the local immigration partnership or employment service providers or workforce planning board. We always want to have a thriving workplace, and to do that is, I think, by partnerships and having these connections on an ongoing basis. So not only reach out when you need them, but it should be more so in a strategic partnership way, where we have regular communications with these organizations. So I would highly encourage employers to be connected with the local workforce or employment service providers to have a thriving workplace.
Thank you. And Christy, I'd like to explore these ideas a little bit further with you. A sustainable workforce requires collaboration beyond individual organizations and sectors. In your view, how can employers, educators, and community partners work together to better prepare people for the workforce and create stronger pathways to meaningful careers?
Yeah, I think it's a team sport. You know, when we look at being collaborative in the community, we have rich resources in the region, and I think it's about leveraging those partnerships. Again, with Conestoga College, we wanted to develop a specific leadership program for senior living. And so we worked with Conestoga and the the Research Institute for Aging in Kitchener-Waterloo region to develop our own in-house program. It's available to anybody. It's a credentialed program at the college, but I think the innovative nature of it is we wanted the cultural pieces and we wanted those serving leadership competencies front and center, and then the technical, practical pieces of being a leader can come after. And so we run a cohort of 75 annually just to prepare for the future. And, you know, I always think we're benefiting the broader region. Even if folks don't stay with us, they have a good, solid leadership kind of foundation or practices they can take forward. And even upskilling, you know, there's a great local company called SkillsWave. John Baker is the founder of that company. Some of you may know him, but it is a great program where it is helping organizations upskill for our future workforce. It's self-directed, you can get diplomas, degrees, but how do we leverage those partnerships to work together? And I think too, technology is such an enabler, and AI was mentioned, and we all kind of do the twitch with AI because we're learning and growing and trying to utilize it, but we've got so many resources that we're perhaps not tapping into. So even we've talked about internationally educated nurses and foreign skilled workers. You know, how do we leverage helping them settle into the region and become part of our community so that they feel that sense of connection and belonging? So we've been tapping into all those partnerships, and I think it's been a differentiator for us as an organization.
Really like hearing that. Al, I'd love to hear your perspective on this as well. What does the healthcare sector need from government, education, and community partners to ensure we have the talent required to meet future demands?
Yeah, so from government, you know, we're looking for, you know, advocacy and partnership for our approvals for stage 1.3 for the new hospital, but also working with us from a partnership perspective for creating more seats in the education fields. From an education perspective, more placements, more opportunities for specialty care. I'll say that, you know, as we are trying to expand all of these programs, even from a cardiac perspective, bringing care closer to home requires that specialty services. And so recruitment out of the region is active, it's happening, but we need more seats for that to come to fruition. From the community perspective is really working with community members on a focused strategy instead of functioning in silos so that we have a strategy together to help our workforce.
Thank you. Tamim, another important component of this conversation is the role that immigration plays in addressing workforce needs. Many newcomers arrive with valuable skills and experiences, yet employers often struggle to fully access that potential. If you could, how can employers better tap into the skills and experiences of newcomers and internationally trained professionals who are here in Waterloo Region?
So I can say that newcomers and internationally trained professionals are Waterloo's greatest workforce assets. One thing I would suggest for employers is to go beyond the traditional hiring method, which is the Canadian work experience, and rather look into the potential and the skills that they have. There's a saying that a bridge is not built by someone who has a Canadian work experience, but rather by someone who has project management skills and the background of doing it. So when we look at the internationally trained professionals, they come with a lot of education from back home, with a lot of experiences. Something interesting is that when you look into their background and you look into the university that they've studied, sometimes that university is the highest university in that country, which required a very high GPA to get into. Likewise, with the employers that they're working with, back home, it could be a very, like we have Deloitte here and big companies like that, they could be working with them. So when they come to Canada, they're looking for a better life, better future for them, for their kids or families, and they just need that opportunity. And if we're going to stick to that traditional, Canadian work experience, I think we should go past that. And there's so many other benefits of hiring internationally trained professionals because the work ethic that they have, the commitment they have, they will not turn around and leave the job within the next 6 months or to a year. They're looking for something long term. And other benefits include multilingual. They speak so many different languages, and they contribute to make the workplace more inclusive. So there's so many benefits, and I think that if we start exploring these and we start taking into mind that newcomers or internationally trained professionals makes a huge difference, I think it will be really, really good.
Thank you. Al, I'd also like to ask your perspective on this. Immigration is an important source of skilled talent in the healthcare sector as well. In your view, how can healthcare organizations better support internationally educated professionals and accelerate their integration into the workforce?
Yeah, I think it goes back to the discussion about bridging programs and ensuring our EEPs have the support for that, but also support for navigating this system. Yeah, I was educated in the U.S., practiced in the U.S. I'm from here, but coming back, navigating the system was difficult even for me, even though I'm from here and educated partly here. So that's where I see the opportunity, particularly, is those supports, not just from the hospital perspective, but in general from the community as well. And that's where that breaking down those silos and working together, and how do we create those pathways into hospital or other sectors for the IEPs.
Thank you. I have 2 questions left, and they're both for all of you, and we've done really good at catching up on time. So as we get started to wrap up, I'd like to focus on the actions we can take to move us forward as a community. For each of you, if you could ask every organization in Waterloo Region to make one commitment today to strengthen our talent ecosystem, what would it be?
Invest in developing people, not just hire folks. So have clear pathways. Continuous education is huge, particularly right now, and then creating a psychologically safe workplace. I know that sounds cliche, it's super easy, but it's not easy. I always coach my managers in thinking, it starts with a hello, and Psych 101, relationships, trust, engagement.
Definitely very well said. So I agree. And to add to that, I would say hire for potential and not for experience. There are, and I'm not just only referring to newcomers or internationally trained professionals. Sometimes they have a minor criminal record, which they want to get, they want to get back into the workforce. So having that discussion and having that meeting with them and getting to know the person. I know oftentimes we're very busy as managers. We look at the first 3 or the top 3 resumes, but your actual person could be the 4th one. So please take the time to invest and get to know the people before rejecting.
I agree. We also, at our organization, we say a lot like hire for heart and train for skill. And we believe that we have, we have general managers that started in recreation or as a kinesiologist, and people have so much untapped potential. And so if there's a commitment, I think within the region is how do we continue to grow and develop people, and not just for our own organizations, but for the region. Tenure now is not, people aren't staying at organizations 10, 15, 20 years, but imagine if they stayed 5 to 7 years and they went to another organization within the community. And so we're building this together. So I just think, building the skill sets for people to be successful, and also just supporting their well-being. Life is hard right now, and if we can support them from financial streams to just their social, their families. If their families are happy, we have better employees. So I think looking at it a little bit more holistically and tapping in, again, the resources in the region.
Amazing, thank you. And I'd like to finish our discussion today by looking ahead. When we are sitting here in 2035 celebrating Waterloo Region's success as a community of 1 million people, what should we be most proud of when it comes to talent, immigration, and inclusion?
I think, first and foremost, a future-ready healthcare system that's anchored with the new hospital, modernized healthcare facilities and sites that we already have. Second, a ecosystem where all backgrounds are thriving together and we're learning from each other. And then I would say lastly, working in one ecosystem in terms of government, education, community partners.
I think 10 years from now, one thing I would like to see is that I would like to say that we didn't just grow, but we grew inclusively. We welcome people to our region, not by looking at their background, but more so what they can contribute. So definitely like to see more of that. More immigrants are going to be here, of course, within the next 10 years. So being able to give them the opportunity and grow with them.
It first hit me I'd be like 61 in 10 years. That's scary. But I think, and I love to dream, but I think our ideal future state is that we would have a community where everyone has that sense of belonging and people don't leave to find meaningful opportunities. I think, the next generation, I hope my kids choose to stay in the region and have opportunity to pick organizations where they can contribute in meaningful ways and grow and develop. And so that's my hope for the future.
Amazing, thank you. So that's the end of our questions for today. And I'd really like to thank all of you for the insights that you've shared. I think you've given a lot of practical strategies and tips that people can follow. And as well, a really human-centric and caring perspective on what the future of talent looks like in Waterloo Region. And for me personally, just very aligned to, the priorities of the work that we do through the Immigration Partnership. Our focus is settle, work, belong. That works for immigrants, and I think it works for everyone. And I heard it very strongly through all of the comments that you were each making as you shared your perspectives from your different fields. So thank you very much. And I'd like to pass the microphone back over to Ian, I believe. And thank you all for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you once again to all our panelists and Minister Harris for joining us today and being part of this event. As we close today's event, I would like to take a few moments just to thank our incredible partners and sponsors once again for making this discussion possible. So thank you to our title sponsor, Conestoga College Institute of Technology and Advanced Learning, our gold sponsor, Employee Next, powered by Serco Canada, silver sponsor, Gore Mutual, bronze sponsors, EY, ED, and WSP. Our community partners, Cornerstone Association of Realtors, Explore Waterloo Region, Future Cities Institute, Immigration Partnership of Waterloo Region, North Guide, Schlegel Urban Developments, and Waterloo EDC. Our host venue today are the lovely Grey Silo Golf Course, our production sponsor, Good Quote Productions, and our photography sponsor, Kinsella Marketing. Please join me in thanking our partners and sponsors today. As some of you know, the Greater KW Chamber has reached a major milestone. The Chamber is celebrating 140 years, and to mark that milestone, we've set a huge goal for investing in the community. Our goal is simple and ambitious, raising $140,000 this year to support enhanced local physician recruitment efforts and to help secure access to healthcare for our growing community. Whether you're a Chamber member, a corporate partner, or a community supporter, we need your help. For details and to donate, visit greaterkwchamber.com or visit us at the table at the back of the room. This is a milestone worth investing in. I also want to acknowledge and extend a special thank you to to the CEO of Waterloo Region Health Network Foundation, Doug Earle. He and his team have been a great partner in the physician recruitment program and have made this fundraising campaign possible. And although this is our last Vision 1 Million event for the season, we have other exciting events coming up you don't want to miss. Next Tuesday, the Canada's Innovation Corridor Business Council Summit. The first is the summit on the June 23rd at the Crown Plaza. This year's event will focus on the movement of people and goods, with the emphasis on strengthening trade, infrastructure, workforce mobility, and supply chain resilience across a rapidly evolving economy on the 401 corridor. We're pleased to welcome the Honourable Vic Fedeli, Chair of Cabinet and Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, as our keynote speaker. We also have Daryl Bricker, the CEO of Ipsos Reid, who will give us a pan overview of both not only Ontario, but Canada and the global economy. We'll also be another highlight upcoming is our parking lot party that will take place on June 25th at the Greater KW Chamber of Commerce. Rain or shine, we'll go inside out of the parking lot if it does rain, but we'll have our partners for casual barbecue, live music, activities, games, and more. And better yet, all proceeds from registration will directly support our physician recruitment campaign. To learn more about the parking lot party and register, please scan the QR code or visit greaterkwchamber.com. And finally, thank you for being here this morning, for taking time out of your schedule and your continued support of the Chamber. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you.